Okay, I have two questions to be answered. So I'll read my question number 2 first. Explain the concept of nutriment ahara according to Sutanta method and the Abhidhamma method. As introduction, ahara is the Pali term which is usually translated as taking, food, feeding, nutriment, sustenance, fuel, and support. Ahara, in terms of nutrition of food, is used in a concrete sense as material food, and as such, it belongs to derived corporeality. In the figurative sense, as foundation or condition, it is one of the 24 conditions pachaya and is used to denote 4 kinds of nutriment, which are the material and mental. The Buddha speak of 4 kinds of ahara, sustain beings and feel future suffering and its condition, as mentioned in Samyutta Nikaya 12.36, Uttama Buddha Mangsa Sutta, and Samyutta Nikaya 12.11, Hara Sutta. They are as the followings. In the material nutriment category, we have only one, which is Kapalikara Hara, which is the edible food. This is the physical food taken by mouth, support the body and sense faculty vitality. It is available only in Kamaloka. The second category have 3. This is the mental or immaterial nutriment, consisting of Pasa Hara, which is contact with its feelings, Vedana, and perceptions or cognition. And Mano Sanchetana Ahara, which is the mental volition. It is intentions generate and sustain karma and future becoming. The third one being Vijnana Ahara, which is the consciousness that support name and form, nama, rupa, independent arising. Material nutriment exists in Kamaloka, whereas the mental nutriment are available in all the 3 realms. That is the Kamaloka, Rupa Loka, and Arupa Loka. So we'll see the Sutanta method first. For the first type of nutriment, edible food, Kapali Tinkara Ahara, is essential for all living beings as it sustains the physical body and the continuity of life. The famous simile is the sun's flesh, as mentioned in Samyutta Nikaya 12.63, Buddha Mangsa Sutta, where a couple who were ill-trapped in the desert out of provision killed and cut their only beloved son just to survive until they succeeded in crossing the wasteland. Here, edible food is mere fuel that sustains life, that is, should be taken without greed, not for fun, intoxication, adornment, nor beautification. The consumption of ahara stops only when all 10 samsaric bonds, sangajana, are eliminated. It is important to cut the 5-fold sense desire for form, sound, smell, taste, and touch, which are bound up with taste, as mentioned in Majjhima Nikaya 13, Maha Dukkha Kanda Sutta. Treat food as medicine. Avoid indulgence that inflames desires. This understanding ends lust and craving for sensuality. The noble disciples will not fall back from the stream. Support the body wisely with adequate, moderate physical food. Sustain practice without stimulating excess craving. Then the second type of nutrient is contact, Pasa Hara. It is likened to a skinned cow as mentioned in Samyutta Nikaya 12.63, the same sutta that we have mentioned before. Attacked by insect wherever it stands, is constantly attacked and nibble at the insect and other creatures living in the vicinity, whether near the wall, tree, water, or air. Likewise, man is constantly exposed to a constant excitement and irritation of the sense impression, crowding upon him from all sides through all six senses. Contact is a source of sensual pleasure, as mentioned in Anguttara Nikaya 6.63, Nipedika Sutta. Guard the sense doors and practice mindfulness, no feeling and at contact, either pleasant, painful, and neutral. Anyway, liking and disliking these feelings is a source of suffering, as defiled sensory contact, sampasa, which arise with raga, dosa, and moha, that generates defiled intention and craving, tanha, may have condition to clinging, becoming, and so forth, as mentioned in the dependent origination. This understanding helps to cut proliferation and craving right at impact as contact cease. It leads to the cessation of sensual pleasure. Consequently, sensual desire and clinging will die off. Then the third kind of nutriment, mental volition, mano sancitana hara. Intention or volition generates and sustains karma and future becoming bhava. It is compared to a man being dragged by two strong men into a pit of glowing embers, a live coal. His whole inclination is to pull away, seeing certain pain of death if he falls in. The pit of burning coals, similarly, represent how our intention pull us into the fires of samsaric sufferings. Unwise intention drive us towards the fire. Karma vinyaya is cultivated by thinking, speaking, and acting in such a manner. In the contrary, wise intention pulls away. Since volition is nutriment, purifying intention or cetana via the five precepts, cultivating loving kindness and developing right effort, samavayama, as mentioned in Samyutta Nikaya 45.8, refines the diet of the mind, reducing the nutriment for unwholesome states. Thus, it is important to continuously tracking of intention moment by moment and to cultivate wholesome or right intention in non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion, and renunciation. At the same time, practice abandoning unwholesome intention so as craving will loses fuel. The fourth type nutrient is the consciousness, vijnana arhara. Consciousness sustenance is the condition to renew becoming, to the birth in future, as mentioned in Samyutta Nikaya 12.12, Moliya Paguna Sutta, particularly the rebirth linking consciousness, Patisantivijnana, that arise at the start of a new life, linking it to the previous one. It is considered one of the four essential food supporting existence. Consciousness sustaining name and form in the dependent arising keeps the cycle of experience going. As long as it is fed, dukkha is repeatedly contacted. It is likened to the simile of a king, which is actually referring to the karma, orders a criminal, which refers to the foolish worldling, to be pierced with 300 spears, which is the Patisandhi Vijnana, over the course of a single day. Example, one spear in the morning, one at midday, another one in the evening. The intense suffering caused by each piercing represents the vijnana ahara. This stimuli emphasizes that continuing to feed consciousness through mental volition, sense consent, contact, etc., is an extremely perilous activity that perpetuates suffering, much like enduring continuous spear thrust without realizing the danger of seeking release. Understanding consciousness as nutriment entails understanding name and form, then maintain daily meditation, seeing its conditioned nature. This enchants the mind so that consciousness is not feeding defilement. Cultivated a steady mind that stops unwholesome cycles. So, for edible food, the Buddha teaches the sun's flesh simile to cut craving for taste, for contact, volition, and consciousness. One sees them as conditioned, impermanent, not self, thereby awakening upada. Restraint, moderation in eating, are guarding the senses, and wise attention. Attend to wholesome intention as the diet of the heart and practical means to lighten the field. Each nutriment conditions dukkha when taken with craving. This nutriment conditions the arising and maintaining of aggregates process. They are fuels for dukkha. Seeing their gratification, danger, and escape is a path theme. As stated in Samyutta Nikaya 12.63, compares being to being sustained by nutriment. When nutriment ceases, the supported process ceases. Cessation of all four types of ahara means the cessation of avijja, and thus the cessation of all subsequent terms in paticca samuppada, which is abhi sankara, kama vijnana, nama rupa, salayatana, sampasa, sambasaja vedana, tanha, upadana, bhava, jati, and sukha, pari, deva. So the whole mess of suffering. So the sutta emphasis. It traces nutriment as food, which condition craving that further inciting clinging that leads to the ongoing becoming. If one cuts off craving by paying wise attention to the consumption of material and mental nutriments, exercising restraint on sensual indulgence, moderation in food, and insight into impermanence of the four nutriments, it may bring an end to the cessation of further becoming. Now, we use the Abhidhamma method to analyze and explain nutriment. In the Abhidhamma method, ahara is being described as specific conditioning relation, ahara paccaya, and as a material base within rupa dhammas. There are four types correspond to the sutta list, functioning as a supportive food that sustain dhammas. Same as the Suttanta method, the first category of nutriment is kabalinkara hara paccaya. It is the gross material on nutriment or food which condition the body as nutritive essence. In Pali, oja, which is one of the 28 rupas. It arises with all groups of material qualities produced by karma, citta, uttu, and ahara itself. In relation to life faculty, jivindriya rupa, oja provides material nourishment. It supports vitality rupa, that is, sustain and nourish the stability and growth of body and material phenomena rupa, and it can also produce new material groups, pakalapas, when sufficient. It conditions material phenomena over a span of time, rather than just a single mind moment. As for Divindriya, it maintains vitality, strengthens the four breath elements of the body, condition temperature-borne and nutriment-borne rupas. They are distinct but cooperative. The other three mental or immaterial nutriments, including contact, volition, and consciousness, are treated as mental factor, cetasika, or state of mind that support all core-nascent mental material phenomena that arise simultaneously. The three mental nutriments are conditions for the associated mind and the materiality produced by the mind as nama. Contact and volition are universal cetasikas. Consciousness is the citta itself. All three operate in every single mind moment across the 89 or 121 cittas. Edible food lasts for a span of time. Mental nutriment conditions at the instant of co-nascence. There's a time of arising. So in this category, the second nutriment being Phassa, Ahara, Pachaya. Contact or sense impact is a mental factor arising with each citta. Its role is conditioning 5 kinds of feelings and associated mental factors each citta moment. Phassa is as nutriment. At each connective process or viti, contact committed with consciousness conditioned feelings as its immediate food. It brings object, base, and consciousness together. Conditioned feeling and all concomitant mental factors by connaissance, mutuality, and nutriment condition. At every moment, it feeds further mental processes via contact. Thus, restraining unwholesome phassa while sense dot discipline reduces the nutriment for defilement. Third nutriment, Cetana, Ahara, Pachaya. In Abhidhamma, volition or Cetana is chief in accruing karma. It propels future results, thus act as a primary nutrient that fits for future rebirth processes. Volition is a cetasika which is present in every citta. It coordinates co-nascent mental factors. It feeds wholesome or unwholesome streams, generating karma and accumulates tendency. By Mano Sancetana Hara are meant the different kinds of volition present in the 29 types of moral and immoral mundane consciousness. Cetana as nutriment. Volition coordinates core nascent mental factors. It generates future result, vipaka, provides decisive support towards future continuities while the conditioning of karma, pachaya, which is the strong, decisive support, upasaya, nisaya, pachaya, thus feeding ongoing becoming. It sustains or produces rebirth in the three spheres, which include the sensual, material, and immaterial realms with future sufferings. It conditions future cittas and bhava. So, cetana, ahara, pachaya. Since cetana is nutriment, it becomes karma. Purifying intention is necessary. As one guards the mental diet, curate objects and attend to them with mindfulness so that the unwholesome cetana is not fed. Meanwhile, strengthening wholesome motivation to reshape future result. The last one, Vijnana Ahara Pachaya. Consciousness support name and form in the life continuum from moment to moment. Vijnana Ahara is nutriment. Each citta by its occurrence support and sustain the arising of concomitant namarupa in rebirth linking, life continuum, and death proximate consciousness, nutritionally sustain the stream of Namarupa. Vijnana Ahara Pachaya. It conditions its co-arising mental factors by strong Upanisaya, which act as the basis or support towards material phenomena initiated by the mind, depending on the system. There are 19 such rebirth consciousness. In the case of mindless sphere, Asanya Satta Loka, they sustain only Rupa. In the case of formless sphere, Arupa Loka, they sustain only Nama. In the existence where the five aggregates are present, it sustains both mind and matters. By stabilizing wholesome consciousness, that is, cultivate kusala cittas through sila, samadhi, and panya, the stream is nourished by clarity rather than defilement. So, the Abhidhamma emphasis. In Abhidhamma, edible food is ethically indeterminate. In material continuity, Kabalinkara Hara augments Oja, which sustain and can generate fresh Rupa Kalapas alongside temperature and mind-produced materiality. The three mental nutriments can be wholesome, unwholesome, or indeterminate based on the consciousness state company. In a connective process, Pasa is the nutriment support the arising of Vedana. Chetana fits the Javana phase, shaping Kama. Vijnana supports co-nascent Namarupa. If one knows about the nature of these four nutriment, its origin and the cessation of nutriment leads to cessation of suffering, and becoming one will realize that what kind of diet or nutriment is being taken and needed at each moment will give the corresponding impact. One will abandon the tendency to develop ill will, tries to eliminate ignorance, and discard opinion and conceit of I am, mine, etc. The utmost important task is to purify intention cetana, guard contact basa with mindfulness, and stabilize wholesome consciousness vijnana through samadhi. So that's all for question given.
Very good. So let me show you my copy, much simple.
Yes.
Okay, here I explain the concept of nutriment according to the Sutta method or the Abhidhamma method. So what I try and put across is that the concept of ahara, nutriment, is a profound teaching of the Buddhism. It explains the sustained condition existence, and the Sutta method present a powerful evocative simile for understanding of craving and suffering, while the Abhidhamma method subject to rigorous ontological and physiological analysis. So below is a comprehensive explain of each of these methods. So foundation understanding. In Buddhism, ahara does not merely represent physical food. It means condition or what I call source of support or sustained cause. Is that which nourishes the fields or sustain the continuity of life, and more critically the continuity of dukkha, suffering. So this explain what are the four nutriment. Sister Samita already given quite detail. So this one all short one. Kala, bingka, ahara, edible physical food. Pasa, ahara, nutriment or sensory contact. Mano, sancetana, ahara, nutriment or mental evolution. Vijnana, ahara, nutriment of consciousness. So the Sutana method explained is a simile, causality, and practical contemplation. The Sutta, Majjhima Nikaya, this SN, and then the S 1263, all these present the nutriment in a dramatic, pedagogic style designed for reflection, leading to revolution, or I call nibbida, and dispassion viraga. So key characteristic in this sutta method are the emphasis on the simile called upama. Each nutriment is paired with a shocking, visceral, smart simile to reveal its dangerous and craving-laden nature, explaining how this craving of these various kind. Physical food, likened to a piece of flesh torn from a child's body being carried across the desert. The message, we are attached to this nutriment with the same desperate, blind, intimate craving a parent would have for a child, is a source of endless struggle. That means is asking for about searching, preparing, and consuming. It's a fundamental impure. Then second one, emphasize on contact, is likened to a flock cow. When the skin cow stand near a wall, every creature it touches causes pain. Similarly, the sixth sense based flock of mindfulness are exposed. So every contact, sight, sound, etc. becomes a potential source of craving and suffering. Let me talking about contact craving. And then mental pollution, likened to a pit of glowing coals. And then the being running towards it, driven by evolution of thirst, is our own mind, constantly planning, longing, and striving for future. Satisfaction, a process that burns us. Then the fourth one, consciousness is likened to criminal in power with 300 spear, and this illustrates the condition of vulnerable pierced by the spear of the sensory stimuli, constantly in the state of feeding and being agitated and leading to repeated birth and suffering. Okay, so this talk about the sutta method and the framework for dependent origination of this Paticca Samuppada said the nutriment are explicitly placed within this chain. Vijnana, explained using the dependent origination. Vijnana, the consciousness, and Nama Rupa, the mentality and materiality, have a mutual sustained relationship like two sheaves of reeds leading each other. Vijnana Ahara nourishes this process. So talking about this consciousness feeding this Nama Rupa. So Sankara, the evolution, formation, manifests as Mano Sanchetana Ahara. Then Salayatana, sixth sense base, provide the ground of Pasa Ahara. And Taha craving is a seasoning or sauce that make this provide the ground of Pasa Ahara. Then Tanha craving is a seasoning or sauce that makes this nutriment desirable, addictive. So without craving, the nutriments are merely neutral condition. So all these are things that in the sutta method is a form of craving. So practical aim, reflection for discernment. The Suttana presentation is not abstract. It's a meditative subject called Kamantana, and the disciple is urged to contemplate what is the source of this nutriment, the dependent arising, and what is cessation, Nibbana to the cessation of craving, and what's the path of cessation, the Noble Eightfold Path. So this leads to understanding and the discernment on liberation. This talk about Suttana method. So Suttana summary is a dramatic, cultural, holistic teaching using powerful imagery to show how we feed our suffering. I mean, using the kind of storytelling of how we end suffering. I mean, cause of suffering, not end suffering. It targets the emotional and unity understanding, linking directly to the noble, to the Four Noble Truths. So this is explained the Suttana method, and Abhidhamma method is more of analytical, categorical, and momentary. The Abhidhamma primary in the Vibhanga and Patana dissect the nutriment with metaphysical and psychological precision, breaking down into ultimate consequence. They call Paramatta Dhamma. So key characteristic, what is it? Characterizing the Paramatta Dhamma, each nutriment is analyzed as a composite of ultimate reality. First thing, talking about physical food. It's classified under this rupa. Specifically, is one of the great inseparable material, oja, present in all edible matter. it sustains the material body itself, a constellation of rupa kalapas. I mean, this food, physical food is a sustenance for the body. Without which the body will die down. So this further can multiply all the rupa kalapas. And then the contact, volition, and consciousness classified under nama, the mind. So they are distinct chitta, sika, and the chitta, and chitta. So what are they? Pasa ahara, identified as mental factor of contact that arises in every moment of consciousness, connecting object, sense, base, and consciousness. And the next one is Mano Sanchetana Ahara, identified as a mental factor of volition. Chetana, Cetasika associated with 9 types of worldly, wholesome, and unwholesome consciousness. Kama, Vachara, Kusala, or Akusala Chitta. Crucially, it excludes the volition of the super mundane path. So these are of the mundane, our human world. Next one is the Vijnana Ahara, encompass all the 89 to 121 types of consciousness that are resultant, vipaka, or functional in the sense sphere and fine material sphere. It excludes consciousness of the path, fruits, and motion and formless sphere, except the base of neither perception nor non-perception. So analysis of function, kicha, and condition relation, pachaya, the Abhidhamma masterpiece, the Patana, examine exactly how each nutriment acts as a supporting condition. They call it ahara pachaya. So it explains that nutriment support that what it nourishes by creating it and by strengthening, maintaining, and enabling the continuity from moment to moment, like fertilizer for a plant. And then it details the precise conditional relationship. Example, how the pasa, cetasika, the contact nutriment, supports the associate feeling and the perception. How cetana, the volition nutriment, generates karma that sustain future becoming. So the emphasis on the present moment. While the sutta speak in terms of life cycle, the Abhidhamma analyze how the nutriment operate in a single mind moment, citta kanda, across rapid successive moments. So we see the feeding happen right now, and the moment of visual consciousness is nourished by contact with a form volition toward it and the resulting consciousness that follow. So Abhidhamma summary, a technical deconstructive momentary analysis, and translate the Sutana evocative simulates to a precise map of mind moment interaction, showing the nuts and bolts of conditional sustenance. So what's the synthesis of these two methods complement each other? The below charts will tell you what is the primary aim. Okay, liberation to understanding, devotion, practical guidance for contemplation. The Abhidhamma method is precise knowledge of reality, actual mapping of ultimate constituents. And what's the presentation is evocative, figurative, holistic, uses shocking similars placed in the framework of life and death. In Abhidhamma, analytical, literal, deconstructive breaks phenomena into pamata dhamma, and the temporary focus macro scale across lifetime process of becoming, and the micro scale on the Abhidhamma is a sub-second process of mind moment, citta vritti, and key framework dependent origination and the Four Noble Truths. And the Abhidhamma uses a condition relation, pachaya, and a triple characteristic. So definition of nutriment, condition that sustain suffering and repeated existence, seasoned by craving. And Abhidhamma is specific categorized mental factor, cittasika, and type of consciousness, citta, that perform the function of sustenance. So what is ultimate unity? Both method coverage converts on the same truth, the same goal. Sutta give you why, the compelling reason to abandon craving for this nutriment. Abhidhamma give you how, the exact mental mechanics by which the sustenance occurs, allowing for pinpoint awareness. So to understand nutriment fully, to see the entire process of dukkha from gross physical struggle for food, that means the sutta imaginary, down to the microscopic volitional impulse that propels one mind moment to the next. You see, Abhidhamma analysis will lead to the same conclusion by comprehending these nutriment, abandoning craving for them, and ultimately realize the cessation one attain unfabricated, unsustained condition state nibbana. So basically, my one is shortcut lah. Your is totally comprehensive and clear explanation lah. So you can use it as a reference for yourself. I will send it to you all later.
Thank you. It is well structured. We can see the full view of the whole framework and very precise and straight to the point. Thank you very much.
Okay. So I close my one. So you can proceed next one.
Okay. So this is question number 3. Write short notes on the 4 of the following. So I will forego the path factor because Brother Cole has already touched on it. So we have to write short notes on any 4 of the following. So I will touch on Sotapatti, Magacita, Jhana, Upadana, Aramana, and hindrances. Okay, number 1. The first one is Sotapatti Magacita. Sotapatti Magacita is the very first citta that arises as an early Aryanhood. The term Sotapatti is Pali word made up of Sota and Apatti. Sota means flowing water or water of river or stream. Apatti means arrive, the earliest where water and streams which finally channel to Nibbana, the simile of the wide ocean. So Sotapatti refers to the initial noble attainment or the first stage of sainthood. The first object of Magacita is Nibbana, which is a Kusala Citta. Immediately following, it is the resultant Citta or the Vipaka Citta called the Pala Citta. It is classified as in the category of supramundane consciousness. So Sotapatti Magacita is also called stream entrant path consciousness. So there are 5 Sotapatti Magacita in the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth jhana path consciousness of stream entry in the Abhidhamma method, whereas in Sutanta method there are only 4. So 4 requirements to attain the Sotapanna stage. It is necessary to associate and learn from a noble person, paying wise attention and living according to the principles of Dhamma. At the level of stream entry, the 3 lower factors that binds people to cycle or rebirth are removed permanently, namely self-identity view or the Sakaya Ditti, the belief in a permanent separate self or soul within the 5 aggregates. A stream enterer no longer view any part of their existence as an enduring me or mine. The second is skeptical doubt, vicikiccha. This is the doubt about the Buddha, his teaching, and his enlightened disciples. It is eliminated through personal insight and direct experience of the true nature of reality, which confirms the accuracy of the Buddhist path. The third one being the attachment to rites and rituals, Silapata Paramasa. It is the belief in the efficacy of rites and ritual. The Sotapan realized that the deliverance is won only through the cultivation of personal insight by the Noble Eightfold Path. Okay, the second short point about jhana. Jhana is an intense, temporarily meditative state of profound stillness and powerful concentration in which the mind becomes fully immersed and absorbed in the chosen object of attention. It is the cornerstone in the development of right concentration and liberation. In the Sutanta method, this I already mentioned, there are 4 stages of jhana, whereas in Abhidhamma method, it is subdivided into 5 stages. This may be the mundane and supramundane state of meditation tuning towards the moment of awakening. According to the Abhidhamma method, the first jhana refers to the initial state marked by initial detachment from sensory distraction and arising of joyful, blissful state. The mind becomes unified and one-pointed on the chosen object of meditation. This state involves specific mental factors or jhana factors, including initial application, which is vitakka, that brings the mind to the object, arousing or applying with special clarity. The second one is sustained application, vichara, keeping the minds with the object, sustaining, stretching, to keep associated mental factors occupied with the object. Then joy or zest, piti, finding, having interest in the object to refresh and invigorate consciousness. Then one-pointedness, ekagata, unifying the mind with the object, fixing to conglomerate or unify associated factors with the object to eliminate distraction. Then there's also another jhana factor, pleasure, sukha, being happy and content with the object to gratify and intensify the associated state. And then another one is equanimity or upekkha, which is perfect, unshaken balance of mind rooted in insight. So they were in the second jhana state, we drop vitakka, third, we drop vichara, fourth, we drop piti, and the fifth one, we finally is drop sukha, and we remain with upekkha and ekagata. The primary prerequisite for developing jhana are moral purity, sila, renunciation or seclusion of sensual pleasure that helps in the suppression of the five mental hindrances, and the development of strong one-pointed concentration, samadhi, on a single meditation object, either through samatha or vipassana meditation. Jhana provides the stable, concentrated foundation necessary for supernatural powers, apinya, to develop, with the fourth jhana acting as the primary launch pad. The jhana was seen as a way to guarantee rebirth in one of the higher heavens. One of the heavens of form or material realms with the mastery of the rupa jhanas, or of the formless heaven, immaterial realm, with the mastery of arupa jhanas. C for upadana. Upadana refers to clinging, attachment, sustenance, or feel for becoming and birth. It is attachment to sensuality, which is the sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and thoughts, to view, to precepts and practices, to theories of the self, and it is the intensified degree of craving. The four kinds of clinging are: first, sensual clinging, kamu upadana, due to ignorance about non-self, impermanence, and suffering. When a willing contacted the six sensuous object, there arise sensual lust, sensual desire, sensual attachment, sensual passion, sensual deludedness, and sensual factors. Second one, clinging to views, titu padana. When a whirling mindset is attuned to wrong views, for example, according to any nihilistic view, one rejects the idea of afterlife and hence set his sight on the present life only. He is prepared to perpetrate any vicious act for his immediate welfare and gain. Third one, clinging to mere rites and ritual, silapatu padana. When a man believes in continued existence, or the eternity view, on the other hand, will aspire to higher existence in the future. He would perform meritorious deeds to go to fortunate existence or to be reborn in the formless realm according to their heart's desire, all of which are not conducive to gaining path, friction, and nibbana. Due to wrong views, they adhere to rites and rituals, believing that it can lead to liberation even though without direct insight or proper mental cultivation. Fourth, clinging to personality view, Atta Wadu Padana. A willing, mistaken view of personal identity, such as I see it, I hear it, I smell it, etc., arises, and so the wrong conception of a man or deva, he or she, etc., arises. When craving overpowers a man, he initiated volitional act, either wholesome or unwholesome deeds that create karma and set forth condition for the ripening of their result in the present and in future existences, which eventually condition for future becoming. Upadana, Pachaya, Bhava, which later on condition endless rebirth. Bhava, Pachaya, Jati. In order to overcome upadana, clinging or grasping, one should follow the Noble Eightfold Path, which is Sila, Samadhi, and Panya, by developing wisdom through insight, cultivating mindfulness to see impermanence and non-self, practicing ethical conduct, Sila, and training in non-attachment and generosity to weaken the habitual patterns and severe the fuel for suffering, leading to liberation from the rebirth cycle. D. Aramana. Aramana or Alambana is a basis or foundation for the working of the mind and intellect, that is, sense object of thought or consciousness, outward constituent in the relation of object and subject, object in general. They are generally referred to as the six objects of consciousness, the sense object or the mental focus that the mind apprehends through the sixth sense door. And these six objects are visible object, sound, odor, taste, body impression, and mind object. The mind object may be physical or mental, past, present, or future, real, or imaginary. They form the external foundation for the sense perception, and without them, no sense perception or sense consciousness can arise. It plays an equally important role as habit or latent defilement in response to sensory stimulus. Here, the sixth sense door comes in contact with the sense object. Aramana means a sensory input which condition mental contact. Stalaya, Dana, Pachaya, Paso. Such contact conditions the six kinds of sensation that cognize or experience the sense object, comes about feelings of pleasant, unpleasant, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So Pasa, Pachaya, Vedana. Strong sensation and feelings may arouse craving towards the sensual pleasure or aversion to avoid sufferings that might initiate the generation of karma via Patija Samuppada and adds to Pancha Upadana Kanda, the five grasping aggregates. Now comes to hindrances. Nivarana. Nivarana refers to the five hindrances, mental state that obstruct concentration, mindfulness, and wisdom, preventing spiritual progress and insight into true nature of reality, Nibbana. They are obstacles to attaining jhana states within meditation practice, as they prevent deep concentration, which is required for clear seeing. The Buddha referred them as obstacle to or hindrances that cause the corruption of the mind, as well as the weakness of wisdom, as mentioned in Samyutta Nikaya 46.37, Avarana Nivarana Sutta. These five are, firstly, sensual desire, kama chanda, for craving for pleasant sensory experience through the five senses of sight, sound, smell, taste, and physical feeling, leading to attachment. It can be overcome by guarding the sense door and paying wise attention to the sense object and reflecting on its impurity and loathsomeness. By associating with wise and nobles, having suitable conversation about the Dhamma. Number 2, ill will, vyapada, anger, aversion, hatred, and resentment, making one unreceptive to truth. It can be overcome by cultivating metta and reflecting on ideas one is the owner of and the heir of one's own action. Arouse the moral shame and fearlessness towards the consequences of the unwholesome action. Number 3, sloth and torpor, Tina Midda. Mental dullness, lack of energy, and sleepiness that hinders awareness. It is considered as half-hearted action with little or no effort or concentration. It could be overcome by prevent overheating, changing posture, staying in the open air, and stimulating the mind by thinking of the perception of light, reflecting on the egg-stirring objects, birth, decay, disease, and death, the suffering of the worlds of misery, the suffering of the past rooted in the realm of existence, the suffering of the future rooted in the, this is a repetition, the suffering of the present rooted in the search for food. The fourth one, restlessness and worries, utacha, ukucha. This is the unrest mind states filled with agitation, anxiety, and obsessive preoccupation with the past or future. To overcome them by cultivating contentment, mindfulness, and ethical conduct, using techniques like observing the breath, studying the Dhamma, associating with wise friends, Kalyana, and practicing moderation in spiritual striving to calm the agitated mind, allowing one to see reality clearly. The last one, doubt, vichikicha. Uncertainty or wavering about the path, the teaching, or lack of conviction or trust in one's own abilities. It can be overcome by developing wisdom through studying and practicing the Dhamma, engage in wise attention and frequent analytical reflection on one's own state of mind. Understanding and overcoming all these 5 hindrances is crucial for meditation and for ethical development, as they are cover over that the clarity of the mind. Doubt is eliminated on the first stage, path of stream entry. So, tapati maga. Sensual desire, ill will, and remorse are eliminated on the third stage. The path of non-returner, anagami maga. Sloth and torpor and restlessness are eradicated on the path of arhanship. So the path factor, since Brother Call already touched, so I won't speak of it. These are the reference.